The Starr and D'Amico Show is brought to you by cheapesttshirts.ca. If you're looking for quality gear without overpaying, shop cheapesttshirts.ca. Huge selection for men, women, and kids. Tees, hoodies, headwear, bags, and more. Proud Montreal business. Order today, ship today, delivery tomorrow. That's cheapesttshirts.ca. Local, fast, and affordable. Brought to you by instacustoms.com. Do you need custom gear from a local Montreal business? Instacustoms.com has you covered. Custom shirts, hoodies, hats, and more made your way. Fast turnaround, great quality, and proudly Montreal-based. Check out instacustoms.com. Brought to you by Cabletel. For trusted alarm systems in Quebec and Eastern Ontario, choose Cabletel. Over 20 years of expert installation and top-tier protection for homes and businesses. Check out Cabletel.com. Email them info@Cabletel.com. It's Cabletel. Peace of mind you can count on. Brought to you by Morella's Steakhouse. Looking for an unforgettable night out? Morella's Steakhouse on Highway 132. It's just 15 minutes from Montreal, serving up premium cuts and bold flavors, and no tax on your bill. Book your table tonight at morellassteakhouse.ca. Taste excellence tonight. Brought to you by Little Bear. Give your pet the best with Little Bear Pet Supply. It's a proudly family-owned business here in Montreal for over 30 years. Chuck, Evie, and their all-star staff have you taken care of with all the top brands at the best prices, and they really care for your pets. Shop online at littlebearonline.com or visit them on St. Catherine across from Westmount Square. It's Little Bear Pet Supply. Brought to you by McLean's Pub. Head over to McLean's Pub, 1210 Peel Street in the heart of downtown Montreal. Great food, cold drinks, and big games on all the screens. McLean's Pub, good times and great company. There's Marco D'Amico. I'm Shaun Starr. Pleasure to be back with you. The Laval Rocket, Marco, have really not missed a beat. Kings of the North Division, one of the top clubs in the entirety of the American Hockey League, and some individual standout performers with some hot streaks going from some players that are back from injury. Let's dive into the Laval Rocket with Jacob Fowler and Kakinen splitting the net in back-to-back wins on Friday and Saturday. Fowler in the net for a 6-1 win over Hershey, and it was Kakinen in a 4-2 decision as Laval continues to get solid goaltending and solid production, leading them to a 7-game winning streak. What's going on in Laval?
I think they're running on they're cooking with gasoline right now. I think you got two goaltenders that are really able to give you those big saves. You've got a really strong defense now that everyone's kind of returned from injury. Toby Paquette-Bisson was missing. David Reinbacher was missing. And now everybody's kind of in the right chair and playing well. And I mean, at forward, Sammy Blais getting sent down before the break is a huge boost to this team. And now you know everyone being in the right chair. I mean, look at this. Look at the lineup right now in terms of just being able to pass everybody off in terms of the right chair. Sammy Blais, who many won on the fourth line at the NHL level, was playing third line with Lucas Condotta and Jared Davidson on Saturday against the Toronto Marlies. I mean, that's huge for me in terms of just looking at that overall depth. Joshua Roy and Owen Beck with Philip Meshar is a combination that has worked well in the past. And I think we're going to dive into at least two of those players and how well they're playing. And then they're not touching that Sean Farrell, Laurent Dauphin, and Alex Belzil top line. That has been money all season long. So, you know, you really have to give it to them. They're strong at every position. And then their first pair on Saturday was Adam Engstrom and David Reinbacher. So we have a couple of prospects to talk about because I feel like every single one of the ones that I just mentioned in a little bit of detail there have all kind of taken a step, in my opinion, based on the viewings that I've seen over the last 3 weeks.
Right now, the player that draws the most interest, and I'm curious to get your take on, is Joshua Roy, who's on a bit of a heater. He's got 7 points this month, including 4 goals. And look, I mean, was it true that earlier on in this NHL season, he seemed dissatisfied with his place within the organization and whether or not he saw a path forward to becoming an NHLer with the Montreal Canadiens? What do you see from this guy now that he's back, and what's likely to happen if I ask you to look into your crystal ball and kind of predict the future around this young man?
I think with Josh, I think he has NHL talent. I think he's going to play in the NHL. I just think that given where the Canadiens are, I think he's a little, I think there's a ceiling there, right? The Canadiens didn't really have an opportunity for him on a third line wing this season because they went and got Zachary Bolduc, who understandably is a better overall player, and even he's struggling to a degree, although he's significantly improved down the stretch here before the Olympic break. So you go and get a guy like Bolduc. New Hook is there. You still have to figure out what's going to go, what's happening with Patrick Laine. Ivan Demidov signs. So already, like, you're being pushed down the pecking order. And then the Canadians, when it comes to recalls, have no problem calling up Jared Davidson, who at the start of the season definitely earned it more than Josh Roy. And yeah, you have to look into the psyche of it. This is a player that was touted as one of the top prospects outside of the NHL when he was still playing in junior. Comes in his first season in the AHL, looks great, gets called up to the NHL, looks good, and then can't follow that up in his sophomore season in the pros. And yeah, there's a little bit of psyche that goes into it. I think what I've liked more of him, especially over the last 3 weeks, more implicated, more jump to his step, going to the net, right? Like Saturday, he was all over the place in front of the net, bringing the puck to the net, taking shots to the net. That's the thing to me that has changed the most in his game so far. At the beginning of the season, I called him out on this, and we have the episode for it. Too much of a periphery player.
Right.
Saturday was was really fun to watch against the Toronto Marlies. It was just, dancing around, trying to push to the net, evading coverage so that he could open himself a lane, making strong passes, good hockey IQ, and he's being rewarded for it. And I think Pascal Vincent is to be commended. He's done a significant amount of time with Joshua Roy in the video room to try and maybe add layers to his game. And I think this is starting to show because his chemistry is undeniable with Owen Beck. Sending Owen Beck on partial breaks, Owen Beck's goal, again, prepared by a brilliant pass by Joshua Roy. I feel like Joshua Roy's processing much faster. I feel like the game slowed down for him a little bit. And I think that in doing so, he's less likely to get boxed out because the game has slowed down around him. He's able to kind of take advantage of the lapses in coverage, the lapses in, maybe transition from the opposition. And I find that even from a defensive standpoint, he's positioning himself far better to be in those passing lanes, to be in those shooting lanes. So I got to say, as of late, I think he's been one of the more impressive players for the Laval Rocket. And what does that mean for his future? I mean, to be completely realistic without, any lack of respect towards the player, I think it just makes him a more attractive piece to another team in the form of a trade as a maybe prospect for prospect, or maybe you include him in a deal with a club that's looking to get younger, is going to have opportunities on the wings. I think that's what has to happen. I feel the same way, for example, with a guy like William Trudeau, who I think can play on a third pair in the NHL right now if need be. But the Canadians are so deep at left D, and they have Adam Engstrom ahead of him too, that he's not going to get his chance in Montreal. He might get his chance elsewhere, and I think that's the key. So I feel the same way about Joshua Roy. I think a team that, for example, maybe stripping it down and looking to bring in some wingers to try in a middle six role, I think that's where Joshua Roy can probably get his chance to break into the NHL.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I was going to kind of lead you into, eventually what you had just answered in regards to, are we talking about a guy who's, fixing some wrongs? Yeah, I think a lot of Hab fans that are maybe cheering for Joshua Roy like what you just said in terms of the engagement level, because that was a knock on him.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to camp and it was an underwhelming performance. And then, he questioned his own future within the organization. But let me parlay that into an Owen Beck conversation for a guy who's got 3 goals in his last 4 games. I mean, Laval is undefeated in their last 7. They have a nice cushion over Syracuse in the North Division, but I mean, is Owen Beck also in that category? I mean, you and I have spent time talking about congestion at the forward position for Martin St. Louis Canadiens. I mean,
Sorry.
where does Owen Beck kind of slot into this conversation now and eventually?
I think one of the elements that makes Owen Beck very difficult for me to extrapolate on is I feel like as an offensive player, like just his shot overall, I feel like Owen Beck is the eventual replacement of a guy like Jake Evans. I appreciate Jake Evans. He's been a great veteran for this team, produced homegrown, but I just feel like if you watch Owen Beck has the same defensive ability as a Jake Evans, but has the shot that Jake Evans does not. Like his shot is dangerous. And I think someone gave him the memo because he is shooting way more than he used to. He's got confidence in that shot. I mean, he scored his first goal in the NHL 3 times. Two of them were wicked shots. Over the weekend, a really strong shot. He could have had 3 or 4 goals this weekend because he was just driving to the net with speed and using his shot. And I feel like even dating back to his time with the Mississauga Steelheads, Peterborough Petes, even his stint with the Saginaw Spirit, his shot on the rush is lethal. And I feel like the moment he's able to realize that and do it with more regularity, he's going to be a very dangerous bottom six center in the NHL. And his face-off ability is something that we don't talk about enough. He's excellent in the face-off circle, somewhere in the realm of 60% right now, is what I was told yesterday. So that's that to me is intriguing. And again, the two-way ability right now in Laval, he's playing in all situations. And I'm not saying he's like the next one, but if you're looking for a guy to eventually replace, the bottom six and bring in these younger guys on ELCs or, cheaper contracts to be able to take those spots, I think a guy like him, I think a guy like Florian Jacki potentially on the left wing, those are the elements that you're looking for. Maybe a Logan Sawyer, as we talked about yesterday. Like those are the kinds of elements that you could start piecing together. And if you want to bring experience into that, you could trade for it. You can keep some guys. But I think that Owen Beck, similarly to Joshua Roy, it's just you're helping yourself make yourself important, either to the Canadians in the form of roster building or in the form of a trade to another team who would have interest in inserting you into their lineup long term. So he's doing himself every favor right now and elevating his game. Again, another player that started off really slow. He's gone up and down in the NHL as well. I thought personally, I don't know about you, Shaun, but I thought he looked good at the NHL level. I thought he showed that he could hang there. And if it wasn't for the glut of bottom sixers right now, I think he'd be playing right now. But I think that he's another one that if he can really continue to elevate offensively, he's going to find himself a role in the NHL, be with the Canadiens or elsewhere.
Speaking of a future role with the Montreal Canadiens, maybe, outside of them sweeping the weekend with a dominant performance with Jacob Fowler between the pipes, 6-1 on Friday, 4-2 with Kakinen in net over the visiting Toronto Marlies. Laval again, with a nice cushion atop that North Division. You mentioned it earlier. The number one pair of Adam Engstrom and David Reinbacher has to be great news for those cheering on David Reinbacher, but also Adam Engstrom he doesn't stop. He's played 36 games with Laval. He's got 10 goals, Marco. He's got 32 points. Top pair defenseman for the Rocket. I mean, I asked you this feels like weeks ago, like too good for the American Hockey League, but more specifically, David Reinbacher, positive weekend, was it not?
Yeah, first of all, that pairing is always money.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed that pairing dating back to last playoffs. Um, just to touch on Adam Engstrom just for a sec, I really feel like the Canadiens are going to have to come up with some sort of solution for him in the short term. This is an NHLer. He does not belong in the American Hockey League. This is an NHL player, and if it wasn't for contracts and depth and this and that, he'd be in the show right now. Like if this were the 2022 Montreal Canadiens, he'd be in the NHL right now. That's how good I think he is. His vision, his transition, the way he's worked on the physical side, boxing guys out, playing that kind of game. I just feel like he's an NHL player all day, every day. As it pertains to David Reinbacher, for those that actually watched the games over the weekend, I thought David Reinbacher had a really strong weekend overall in terms of, playing under pressure, breaking plays up. He was far more physical. Like at one point, I think he cross-checked a dude in the face
Let's go.
that was coming at him on the rush. Like it was a way more physically implicated David Reinbacher than I'm used to seeing. He was strong in transition. He was moving the puck up the ice like quite well. Trying to get involved. Didn't get any points, but he was definitely involved in generating offense and near chances. So I to me, it's a very like this brand of David Reinbacher I can get behind because We saw him be a little, prior to his injury, a little bit too tentative, a little too hesitant under pressure. I found him more assertive over the weekend, and I think that's great news for the Canadiens because that's something they've been trying to get through to him. Now that he's kind of come back from his injury, he's getting back his mojo. Again, leave him there. I know that there was a lot of discussion about how he's the only player in the top 13 of the 2023 draft that hasn't played in the NHL. Yeah, okay. Well, that's because only 2 of them were defensemen.
Yeah.
Well, actually 3. Tom Willander is the 13th.
Right.
But I mean,
context.
Vancouver is Vancouver. So it's normal that they're going to play him. And Dmitry Simashev is currently playing in the American Hockey League. They started him off in the NHL because they brought him over and then they realized he needed more time, right? So it's not who gets there first, it's how long that career is. So I wouldn't worry about it. David Reinbacher showing, really good signs. Whether or not that becomes something down the line is, not, I can't speak to that just yet, but I would say very encouraging weekend. And for those that, are worried, structurally speaking, like skating wise, I like what I'm seeing. Physicality wise, he was more physical. And again, that combination between him and Engstrom, to me, that could be a third pair in the NHL right now. I don't know that you'd be doing David Reinbacher any service by throwing him to the Wolves right now.
Probably
but
not.
I feel like down the line that would be a really good third pair, or at least in the foreseeable recent future. But again, like I don't think there's any problem for the Canadiens in leaving David Reinbacher down there. The comment that I got this weekend was just solid in every way. And I think that's really good news for the Canadiens because when you come back from, I'm not going to speculate, kind of looked like a concussion, but if not, it was just an upper body injury that he suffered against the Calgary Wranglers.
Yeah.
Coming back and playing the way he has the last 3 games, to me, I think calms a lot of the nerves around David Reinbacher. And now the rest of it is staying healthy and continuing to perform and improve. And we'll see where it goes. But at least the last 3 games since his injury, it's definitely been in an upward trajectory.
There's Marco D'Amico. You can follow him on all your favorite socials. Also, check out at Starr and D'Amico. There's at MN D'Amico, by the way, just to clean that up. Marco, good stuff as always. Looking forward to the rest of the week as it unravels, as we've got Olympic coverage. And make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out our audio podcast platform as well. You can take Starr and D'Amico wherever you want to go, even in the shower. Hey, now. All right, brother. Yeah, that face is warranted after that commentary. I apologize. All right, man. I'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great day, everyone.